Well, welcome to Copperhead Road Homestead. Today I'm going to cook this steak. If you're interested in something like that, stay tuned. I was at the store the other day and I decided to splurge on a steak. They say there's going to be some kind of shortage in meat soon. One of the reasons we're raising cattle is because I do love steak. Ribeye steaks are about my favorite. We're raising the cattle and we have those steers in order to have some beef from them. Whenever we get those steers processed or process them ourselves, I am going to cook me some steaks from them. And I'm going to show you the recipe that I use. I'll show you what I do and then I'll show you how I cook it as well. So let's start with the seasoning. I've got them all lined up here ready to go and I'll show you as I do. First thing I do is put 1 teaspoon of Himalayan salt in there, coarse ground salt, so it would be the best. 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon black pepper. Again, I like the restaurant grind coarse black pepper. Half a teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, quarter teaspoon of garlic salt, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. So I like my steak medium rare. If you like yours more well done and you cook it inside on your cast iron skillet, then I recommend to get a thinner steak. Mine's quite thick because, again, I like it on the rare side of medium rare. So a rare, medium rare. I'm gonna set it on my plate. And before I do that, I mix this all up. And then I'm gonna put this on both sides of the steak in order to let it start getting the seasoning and the flavor in there. I'm gonna let it set for about 15 minutes or so. And again, I'm gonna let it sit for about 15 minutes or so, and then I'll cook it. I'll show you what I do when I cook it. Okay, so the steak has been sitting for about 15 minutes or so, but the last secret ingredient is this sweet cream butter, salted butter. I'm gonna put that in the pan, and I'm gonna melt it, and I'll show you what I do from there. Okay, so I'm gonna put this butter in here, melt it. Just gonna let that melt for a minute. Cook it on as high a heat as I can. Get really hot and get a nice crust on the outside of it. All right, so I'm about to put the steak on there, and the reason it's a little discolored and has that seasoning and stuff already in there is because I've already cooked one steak. I buy one of these probably once every few months until we start producing our own beef. So the next thing that I do that I think is really important that helps make it nice and juicy and tender and delicious is as I'm cooking it, I'll take this butter and the seasoning. The first time I cook it, it's just butter, and I'll put that on top. Okay, now I'm turning it off. I got my plate ready. I'll put this bad boy on there. And then I'm going to take some of this butter and stuff and put back on there. Because that'll make some excellent stuff to dip it in when it's all said and done. and that's gonna keep it good and juicy. Okay, so at this point, you could just go ahead and eat it, but instead I'm gonna put it in the microwave where it's safe from my dog and everyone else, and let it sit for a few minutes. That way it's not gonna burn my mouth whenever I eat it. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes or so. I've let it cool down so I can eat it. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Let's cut into it, let me show you what it looks like. See? That's beautiful to me. It's about medium rare. So good. I'll put the recipe in the description box below. Also, for our Plant Everyday challenge, today I'm planting and have planted cayenne peppers. I'll put these on my heating mat. Whenever they get big enough, I'll transplant them outside. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Come back again tomorrow.